later losing your 46-year-old son to a brain tumor? I mean, that would be hard for anyone to bear. We all know that. And not only did Joe get through it, well, he used it, it turns out, to brand himself politically as a compassionate, dedicated fighter for the everyman. Now, back in 2019, Politico basically admitted it, publishing a piece titled, "How Grief Became Joe Biden's Superpower." Two tragedies, 43 years apart, have defined the former VP's life. Have they also made him a more formidable presidential candidate? Okay, so it wasn't about his political views or his experience, it was about his grief. And just today, NBC News has another piece out on the same topic, and that's titled, "Joe Biden's brand is being tested like never before." His brand as a family-oriented public servant has been a signature political asset for more than 50 years, courtesy of the media. All right, well, in the absence of a successful policy track record, look, you can't blame Biden because it really was all he had to run on.
Please subscribe,
And it all
Patriots,
began
for more.
with this photo. Now, this was taken 50 years ago. It's Biden from his son Beau's hospital room after the tragic car accident that killed half of his family. And it was Joe, of course, being sworn in at age 30 to become, at the time, the second youngest U.S. senator ever elected. Now, during the ceremony with this emotional backdrop, well, it ensured that there would be a permanent image of the stalwart Joe Biden's fighting through his grief to serve the people of Wilmington. He didn't have to do the ceremony there. He chose to. This was a profoundly and obviously very calculated move on his part. And then through his long political career, these same tragedies would become Biden's favorite talking point.
Shortly after I got elected, my wife and daughter were killed. A tractor trailer broadsided them and killed my wife and my daughter and badly injured my two kids.
When I left the vice presidency after Beau died, I wasn't going to get involved in politics. The guy who should be standing here presenting Biden was going to be president, and I'm not. It's not hyperbole. It's my son Beau.
Now, while his use of the tragedy to score political points is, look, I think it's tasteless and it's tacky. Imagine lying about how your own son died. Well, that's gross enough, but it gets worse. He lied about that not once, not twice, but at least 3 times. And that's only counting the public speeches he gave. That all of it takes it to a new low, even for Joe.
I say this as a father of a man who won the Bronze Star, the Conspicuous Service Medal, and lost his life in Iraq. Inflation is a worldwide problem right now because of a war in Iraq, the war in Ukraine, and thinking of Iraq because that's where my son died. Things changed in our life and our family. I lost my son. We lost our son in Iraq.
What kind of person does this? Beau died of cancer, not in Iraq. This is common knowledge. But perhaps the most disturbing of Biden's tragedy lies is what we heard in yesterday's congressional testimony of Cheryl Rex. Now, we heard yesterday from the families of the 13 service members who were killed during Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Now, during these testimonials, her son and this woman's son, Lance Corporal Dylan Merola, was killed in the botched raid. And she described her interaction with President Biden when her son's body arrived back in the United States.
When he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a 5-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt.
It was heartbreaking to watch. And her account resurrected a previously little noticed encounter between Biden and Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews. He lost an arm during that botched withdrawal. And here's the sergeant recounting the moment Biden visited him at Walter Reed.
He's going to be here in about an hour. Well, 1 hour goes by, nothing. 2 hours goes by, nothing. It's like 4 hours at this point, and my mom's furious. Right away, remember him coming up to me, trying to shake my hand, like, I should try to shake my right hand. And I look at him, and I'm like, I don't have an arm. Almost immediately starts talking, like, about how their son served in the military. Doesn't say anything about what happened. And he leans over me, and he's like this close to my face, and he's like, what do you want? And I'm just like confused. I just got blown up. I just saw my friends die next to me, and like, I just want to be myself.
Remember when we had a 2-week, furious news cycle after Congresswoman Frederica Wilson spun what Trump said to a Gold Star family? Well, where's that media now? Well, not only are journalists happy to hide the truth to protect Biden, they're thrilled to pick up the grief baton from him and just run with it. Now, regarding Hunter and Burisma, look, you can't blame Hunter. The tragedy made him sloppy.
When Hunter Biden took that job, that role on the board of Burisma, it was in the wake of his brother's death. And his father was in a fog for quite a period of time.
The only fog we're seeing here is the fog of media collusion with the Bidens. Now, not just on Burisma, but on the classified documents issue, too.
The boxes in the Biden office, some of the things in those boxes had to do with Beau Biden. That strikes me as materials that would have been kept as they were and really not rifled through even by the former vice president.
And if you were offended that it took Biden 4 years to acknowledge his 7th grandchild, Hunter's daughter, well,
one of the things that Joe Biden has done so successfully, and it is based on tragedy, losing his adult son, Beau, is being a very relatable person. This is a very
that died
complicated
of cancer,
family matter.
not in the military.
and finally, for that alleged improper chit-chat that Joe might have had with Hunter's foreign business partners,
Please subscribe
just throw down that
for
Beau
more.
Biden card again.
We should put this in context. This is a time when Beau Biden, the president's other son, was ill and then dying and then passed away.
The context is that this was a sort of very fraught and sad time for the Biden family, and what important family is to the president.
Let's put this in context. Beau Biden was sick in early 2015. He died in the spring of 2015, which was right in the middle when Deb had his business dealings with Hunter. At that point, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden began to speak every day, both devastated by Beau's death.
Is there anyone more on Congress than Dan Goldman? He's a lawyer. Okay, how does any of that Biden speaking to Hunter's international clients again? Of course it doesn't. People don't just think you're stupid. They think you're deaf, dumb,
Subscribe
and
for
blind,
more.
too.
Unless you're
People
deaf,
who've
dumb,
been paying
dumb and
attention,
blind.
The carefully cultivated image of the grandfatherly Joe Biden, look, it lost its luster long ago. Remember, whose own daughter in her diary claimed that he showered with her. And he's the guy who just can't stop nuzzling and sniffing little children. And he's a guy who even lied about the truck driver that was faulted in the accident that killed his wife. Now, Biden claimed he was drunk. That was not true. Why lie about that? Now, all of this is twisted because invoking personal tragedy instead of making cogent arguments, lying about your personal biography and then blaming others when they carry out their oversight role, that tells you the true character of the man who promised to return dignity to the White House. All right, joining now is Charlie Hurt, Fox contributor, Washington Times opinion editor. Charlie, look, pretty much everyone has been complicit in this nonsense, false facade of Joe Biden's over the last 50 years. But when you really look at it in its totality, and that's why we spent so much time putting that angle together tonight, it really is quite something. How complicit have the media been in all of this?
As painful as all that was to watch, Laura, it is so important that you did put it all together. It's hard to watch, especially when you listen to a Gold Star mom talk about Joe Biden and it's like beyond stolen valor. It's like stolen grief, and he's trying to rip it out from her heart to sort of trump her.
We
And
need to get this
almost
idiot out of
proclaim that she
the
has
White House.
He has greater grief than she does. And it's all a lie, as you point out. This whole notion that he's some great
All he does
family
is
man,
lie.
it's a lie. It's always been a lie. This
For his
and
political
of course,
gain.
I'm particularly glad that you went back to the
And if
part
you
about
vote
the truck
for him,
driver,
I'm sorry.
Because of course, that truck driver
You must love
lived
the
with that
lies.
the rest of his life. And Joe Biden, on many occasions, insisted the truck driver was a drunk driver, which is a lie. And that man died under that heavy burden, knowing that Joe Biden lied about it, all for political purposes. And whether it's his somehow inconvenient seventh granddaughter, or the lies about where Beau Biden died and how he died, or the fact that, you know, what he did with his living daughter and what he did to his now still living son, where he dumped this whole criminal enterprise on his crackhead, poor-loving son, who spiraled into oblivion with all of that going on.
Don't forget the cocaine in the house, the White House that they had.
Washington, including the press. Everybody knows that the guy is a congenital liar. He got
Come on,
banned out of
Americans,
3
smarten up.
or 2 previous presidential races because everybody concluded he's a liar. He'll lie about anything. If you lie about your family like this, you'll lie about anything.
Well, he was recently asked, and given what Cheryl Rex testified to yesterday, which, speaking of hard to watch, if you didn't get teared up watching her remarks, I mean, it was just a heartbreaker. He was recently asked. I got upset and angry all over again. But
I was
hold
upset
that thought,
too.
though, 'cause I want you to see what Biden said when
A
he was
young
just
man
asked
died for
recently
our
about
country.
the Afghanistan withdrawal. Watch.
There was a report on Afghanistan withdrawal saying there was failure, mistakes. Do you admit there was mistakes during the withdrawal?
Remember what I said about Afghanistan? I said Al Qaeda would not be there. I said it wouldn't be there. I said we'd get help from the Taliban. What's happening now? What's going on? Read your press. I was right.
You was right, all right. You
Charlie,
was wrong.
Charlie, watching him with the kind of cutesy little whisper game that he plays when he's caught in his own trap.
Come on, subscribe.
That truly is another wound
We'll
to these families. who've
uncover
already
more of
suffered
his
so
lies.
much.
Exactly.
It's heartless
Together.
and it's callous.
You know, these families and these troops, they sign up to sacrifice their lives. They know that is a possibility when they sign up, and they are willing to do it because they love their country. What they
Not
don't
like
sign
Joe.
up for is to sacrifice their lives and then be assaulted about it.
Did you hit
and
that subscribe yet?
And mocked.
Look
and
down below.
ridiculed and
There
lied
it
to.
is. Subscribe.
That's what they didn't sign up
Hit the
for.
bell to
And
get
that's the part that
the
just,
latest updates that I do every
it
day.
inspires it's so enraging.
And like I
to
said in
listen to.
all
And
my
the
other
fact that
videos,
so few people
I'm
in
sorry
the
that you
media, in the
can't
press,
comment.
hold him
I don't mind a
accountable
debate.
for that
I won't
is,
take your
shows
liberties
not
away
only how
from you,
broken
like this
he
guy
is
will.
as a family man,
But
and
YouTube
as a-
has
as a
turned off
public
my
figure, but
comments
also how broken,
and will not turn them
you know,
back
our-
on.
your and my
They don't like what I
business is.
post. They take all my
Now,
videos
and
that
Charlie,
hurt this
the
moron
fact that the man
down.
can't meet a child without
And I can
practically
prove it.
nuzzling the child
I
with
took
his
screenshot
nose
of everything
and
that
I mean,
YouTube
that's
has
just
sent me.
Weird. This I'm just a weirdo creepo. Forget wrecking the economy and everything else. Charlie, thank you for joining us tonight. Great to see you as always. Now,
God
up
bless.
next, we
Please
have a
subscribe.
lot of
Love you.
news in the